What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. The link will be in the description box below, as usual. This video is entitled How Being Black Has Changed. I was watching a music video last night. Christian, Full of Smoke. And that was the 90s. That's one of my favorite albums still to this day. Ghetto Serrano is the name of the album. The thing about it was I was looking at the men and the women in the video, and that was like 20 years ago. And I'm looking at them, and I saw people on Facebook and Instagram now, and I'm looking like, man, being black has changed so drastically since I was a child. And what I mean by that is parenting has changed. Having those parents and grandparents who are hard nosed, as far as you gonna follow orders, and you're gonna be disciplined, and there's gonna be structure, and you're gonna carry yourself in a respectable manner. As far as parenting has changed, because now the parents and grandparents go out in public and they don't carry themselves in a respectable manner, and they feel like they can't be checked on that. And I'm using extremes. I mean, I know this is not the complete norm, but what I'm doing is I'm using the extremes to say, man, things have really shifted, to the point where I remember musically, people couldn't mimic black culture because we were far too advanced, and people couldn't mimic, and other races couldn't mimic black culture because it was far too vast, which you would see, and they couldn't catch it. So now what I see is people trying to mimic the worst of black culture that's portrayed, through, I guess, TV, media, whatever. And then they're trying to tell black people that, oh, this is not you're too normal. That's not being black. And that's the other thing about it. Like, being black has changed so much that people who are not black want to tell us what being black is when they don't know what the fuck they talking about. Because they want us to be the worst things. Because a lot of those people, truth be told, are culture vultures. Like, they want us to be this particular thing while they're trying to steal parts of our culture and just, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to make money, acting like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, come on, like everything that getting back to us. Let me get back to us. Presentation. I remember you have to be able to be a chameleon to a sense. I remember that, be a chameleon in a sense where, everything has a time and place. The way you dress, the way you act, the way you conduct yourself is specific on a time and place. And now people don't do that. You can conduct yourself any old way, any old place. And, that's not how the world works. Which is a problem, because we've changed by acting as though, that's blackness. I mean, black health has changed, I think black health has probably changed for the better. I think it used to be that black people were just naturally God gifted, but truth be told, we just outworked everybody. We outwork everybody as far as hands-on labor and stuff like that, even mental work. But we just don't put it out there. Like, humility is a part of our culture, especially when you're good at something. And now it's like this braggadocious culture when you're mediocre. It's like, that's not, That's not what being black actually is. But um, being black is changing how we interact with each other to a degree. I think what winds up happening is when you hit a certain age or space in life, or you hit a certain class, uh, you basically graduate out of the dysfunction. And that's the other thing about being black. Dysfunction was not tolerated at any class. Like, people forget the things that people do now as norm will get you put out of your house or your parents' house or your family's house because they're not having that in their house. But now it's tolerated. Tattoos and piercings wasn't tolerated. It wasn't, Now it's tolerated, Bad grades were not tolerated. Even if you had a racist teacher, but now it's tolerated, Co-parenting beef was not tolerated by the elders of those parents. Now it's tolerated, You raise boys to be men and you raise girls to be women. Now, that's not what's going on. And that's tolerated when it wasn't. Being black has changed. The spiritual aspect of blackness has changed. I think, we were more spiritual people when I was younger. And what I mean by that is, everybody dealt in Christianity or Islam. But the thing about it was, when you prayed, you actually were in tune with the universe or your ancestors or spirits. It was beyond, Christianity was just a name of the religion, or Islam was just a name of the religion. But the people you could feel. I think, blackness has changed to where we feel less. As I'm listening to this music, that's the crazy part about it. Like, I listen to it because I can feel something. Like this stuff that is evolved to is less and less feeling, less and less connection with the universe, or God. I think blackness has changed when it comes to that. I think being real was an expectation and the norm. And I think that's changed to where people acting like they're real has become a norm. And an expectation that you're going to act like you're real, but you're not going to be real. You're going to, you're going to do the best job you can. Like, we didn't play that. I think blackness has changed where, substance used to be where people were, you had to have substance. You had to have talent. You had to have a skill. Now it's just more so you have to have a swagger, which probably doesn't have anything back in that. And, that's why I said it's changed. And it's been taught. And you can see this balancing act between, keeping what was and ushering in what is, and how it's vacillating back and forth because, certain things that were functional and work for us don't work as well in this current time. But in certain things that we do now that work for us will not work for us in due time. And it's like you're trying to go back and forth, but we don't. The basics are I think, I think the old school method is far greater in the long run than this new school stuff, because the, I can put an old school mentality and an old school black culture in today's society and it thrives. I can't put this new school mentality and new school blackness in any other era prior to it, because it would die. It would just, because it couldn't keep up. You know, it wouldn't work. That's why I said, you know, I think blackness has changed, and I think to a degree it's changed for the worse, because, you know, I think there were more confident black people, more skilled black people. Now they're more emotional black people who are insecure, you know. And I think back in the day we did make distinctions, or either we did make distinctions between who was who, or we made or everybody got on the same page. I think now people are not are playing like they're black when it's convenient, and they're not black when it's convenient, even when they're black, like, but they're not black Americans. You know what I'm saying? So that's a problem. Like, I think it's changed, and it's evolving to the point where, you know, in some ways it's good, in other ways it's detrimental. So I don't see it going in a good direction. I say that because what we were very family oriented. What we are now is very individualistic, and you see that fight because you see the family aspect fighting the individual aspect, but you see all of the functionality of the past fighting all the dysfunctionality of the present, and people want to revel in the dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to like, old school black was the prodigal son's parents, where they'll let you go out. You gonna go out there and do that stuff. If that's what you want, if that's what you want to do, you gonna go out there and do that. Now, when you realize that doesn't work well, and you come home, you gonna humble yourself. New school is I'm gonna be the prodigal, you know, person, but I'm gonna come home and be just as prodigal when I get home, and you should accept it. And it's like, that's a problem, and I'm gonna infest the rest of the family with this behavior, you know, and that's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. And you see the separation, because it's not like I would give it a 50-50 split. But the problem is you see a lot of this intermingling and clashing and all the time, you know. So, it's changing. It's evolving. I'm out, man.